It may very well be one of the most dangerous rallies that Donald Trump has ever given, and a sign of what's to come if he runs in 2024. The former president speaking to supporters in Texas, essentially calling for another insurrection if he ever faces charges in the multiple investigations into him, his business, or his coup attempt.
If these radical, vicious, racist prosecutors do anything wrong or illegal, I hope we are going to have in this country the biggest protest we have ever had in Washington, D.C., in New York, in Atlanta, and elsewhere, because our country and our elections are corrupt. They're corrupt.
That is a lie. And to boot, he also brought race into his imaginary slight.
As a result of that statement, overnight, the Fulton County District Attorney, one of the prosecutors referred to by Trump, who was investigating his efforts to overturn the election results in Georgia, she asked the FBI to provide security for buildings and staff. Now, Trump also put out a statement overnight that more or less admitted that he did want Pence to overturn the election. Joining us now, CNN political commentator S.E. Cupp and CNN chief legal analyst Jeffrey Toobin. Trump did three things over the weekend, and I want to discuss each if we can. Number one, that call to arms, the biggest protest we've ever seen. Number two, he dangled pardons. And then number three, that statement where he basically said, yes, I wanted Pence to overturn the election results, not that there are any doubt. Jeffrey, I want to start with the call for the biggest protest ever, which many look at and say, hey, he's inciting violence in broad daylight.
Well, it's not exactly news that Donald Trump doesn't change, but Donald Trump doesn't change. And, what's so remarkable about this statement is that it almost is identical to what he said right before the riot at the Capitol. That, it walks up to the line of calling for violence. The implication is to call for violence, but he doesn't exactly say he's calling for violence. However, his supporters understand exactly what he's saying, and he's calling for violence. So, we've all been warned. And we'll see what happens, as he liked to say.
What do you think, S.E.?
Well, we know he's very good at turning Americans against each other. He did that in his, campaign for president in 2015. He did it throughout his presidency, and he's still doing it. And we talk a lot about his ego and the need to be adored and see his power in evidence, but we talk a little less about his affinity for anarchy. And part of this is he just loves to see it. He loves to see it burn. He loves breaking with social norms for the sake of it. He loves the disruption, striking a match and watching it burn. We saw that on January 6th. We've seen it a few times, and I think this is more of that.